Hello ladies and gentlemen, gabestah here. Today we are looking at the Premature Evacuation Achievement, which is part of the Rendezvous mission, and this is one of the mastery achievements for the Heart of the Swarm campaign. It requires that you destroy all Dominion structures in the Rendezvous mission before Noctal's brood arrives on hard difficulty. So it's a pretty challenging achievement. It's early on in the campaign, so you're not given any upgrades yet, because Kerrigan is still pretty much herself. So you're really going to have to just rely on very quick speed and efficiency to do this achievement in time. You're up against the clock. So let's go ahead and get started with the walkthrough and see what's going on here. So as you begin the mission, the basic idea is you want to maximize your queen output, because they're the key unit for this mission, and you want to utilize Kerrigan as much as possible. So right away after you build your initial drones and macro your hatchery, run Kerrigan out by herself and pick up those 2 mineral patches. And then have her move back slightly when she gets the second minerals and start attacking some of these marines here. Back at home, you'll want to build a hatchery almost right away. And then Kerrigan's concussive blast is very useful for dealing with bunkers. So you want to shoot a bunker with it once, and it will immediately get it low enough health to be on fire. At that point, you can just leave it for a few seconds, and it will burn down on its own. So this is a great way to get through some fortified defenses without much time investment. As soon as you shoot that bunker on the right, run back here toward your base, because this wave of Marines will come in. You want to wait till they kill the first building right there so that the second subset of Marines will meet up with them and the broodlings will engage. Once the broodlings engage, use your AE stun on Kerrigan, or on the Marines from Kerrigan, and then you can clean up most of them coming back to your spine crawler, as you see there. Once that wave is down, run Kerrigan back over to the right. And at this point, you can now spend your time to clean up the stuff on the right and release that first set of trapped units, because this is a quick way to gain supply and, more importantly, get some queens. So you can see here you can stun the guys that were in the bunker and then run up the ramp, and they will sort of leash or basically run back to the original position after a short distance. So it's a good way to get some damage and then return fire after they run back. Now you want to focus down Marines first, because Marauders don't do as much DPS to you. And you'll see there's a small pack of Marines that engaged here. Depending on your health of your spine crawler, it may be able to take it on by itself, but otherwise use those few Zerglings at your base. And through all this, you should be building up your drone count. You want to maximize your drones on your hatchery right away. Once you do that, you can get a spawning pool and start making queens with your gas after your spawning pool is complete. And from that point forward, all your gas, pretty much except for an upgrade, will be devoted to queen production. That's the basic idea here. So once again, once you release those minions on the right, all the little Zerg guys, run Kerrigan up to the north a little bit, shoot that bunker again with your blast, and then run away. And as mentioned before, it will start to burn down. So now that the spawning pool's done and I've started to build an upgrade, again, I'm just building queens from my hatcheries. I'm also throwing down some spine and spore crawlers for extra defense from the waves that will come in. 2 spore crawlers should be sufficient for most of the mission. But spine crawlers, you probably need 3, maybe 4 of them on the right, and you may want a couple more on the top as well. Don't forget to replenish your drones that you use to build those spine and spores in addition. But basically with 2 hatcheries, that will be pretty much enough to sufficiently drain your gas income just by building queens, since it's 50 each for each queen. And remember, you can throw down some creep. I'm not too great at remembering that, but it's a good idea. It will speed up your movement back and forth to your base. And then move up to the northwest and start blasting those bunkers there. And the same rule applies. Blast them once, back up a bit, and they'll burn down over time. So you can see here, we're at the 10-minute mark, and you should probably save frequently when you're doing this achievement. This took me many attempts to finally get the timing correct. So the strategy is only half of it. You just have to practice a lot as well. So I'm throwing down some more spine crawlers here, and I probably don't have enough on the right. I can't remember if I end up noticing that. Oh yeah, there I do. So yeah, 3 or 4 on the right, and the same on the top. And then the 2 spores, and that should be pretty well protected so that you can devote most of your energy to dealing with Kerrigan and the Queen army that you've got. So I'm waiting for gas here, starting another queen, but I need another little bit of gas before I can do a second one. And there's a save point, just saving. So now the bunkers are dead, so we can just move up, and these enemies become a lot easier when they're not protected by the bunkers, obviously. Now, the reason that this mission really relies so much on queens and not zerglings is because the enemy uses tons of firebats and hellbats, and they just destroy zerglings, whereas queens are very resilient to that type of damage. So not only are they resilient, but they heal each other all the time. So if you have a lot of queens and Kerrigan as backup to help with the really difficult enemies, your survivability is very high. So basically the idea is to use queens and Kerrigan as your front line of assault, bust through the initial defenses, and then you can use zerglings as your primary source of DPS to deal with buildings, because otherwise it will take a long time to kill all the buildings you need for this achievement. You really will feel rushed when you're trying to get this. At least I did. So yeah, shoot the bunker, then back up a bit. You don't want to fight all of that near the bunker. And then just AE stun as normal. Let your queens do most of the damage. And now I'm starting to be able to build up zerglings with my excess minerals, since I don't use my larvae on drones anymore. And once again, just all your gas after your upgrades going to your queens. Make sure you upgrade range attack and armor, since queens benefit from both of those. You don't really need the melee damage upgrade. It basically is the cost of 2 queens, so you can opt for those instead. And here's a big assault here, so I'm moving my queens over to heal my spine crawlers just behind them. You don't want to get them out in front. And one spine crawler goes down. I think a second one will here too, but small price to pay for not losing any real army units. There we go. So a couple zerglings engaged, but everything's fine. Meanwhile, we're attacking to the top here with the primary queen and Kerrigan army. And now I'm bringing the rest of my army up here. So all my zerglings are going to flood in and help me finish off the buildings while I get back to focusing my micro, as it were, if you can even call it that, on Kerrigan and the queens pushing up. So as soon as you're up the ramp, snipe that building, or that bunker again. And there you can see a hellbat. So around the 5-minute mark here is perfect. You have one more reinforcement section to get, so you can get another queen, I believe, and some zerglings. But once again, the basic goal here is to clear out the army units with your queens and Kerrigan, and then let your zerglings do most of the building work. So you can see on the minimap, the top left, the zerglings cleaned up those buildings fine. So now I'm bringing in the rest of the units here, the zerglings. And there may be a couple hellbats that will spawn, but you don't have to worry about it too much. So there's our extra reinforcements of Zerglings and Queens. It might be a good idea to hotkey your primary force of Queens and Kerrigan, and then hotkey your Zerglings in a different hotkey so that you can easily switch between the two. And otherwise just double click on your Zerglings or Queens to select them, or control click should suffice as well. So a little over 3.5 minutes here, and most everything is done. We just have one more section on the northeast to clear out. So if you killed that bunker that was the top right of the base, as I did earlier, then that tank pole or tank group that we just did won't be very difficult. So now we're bringing up everything we've got, because this is it. If we get this last section, that's the achievement. So there isn't much else to worry about at home, and you can let your base die at this point, really. You don't need to finish the actual mission to get the achievement. So 2 bunkers here, so burn one of them, and then back up a bit, because there's a lot of DPS there. You don't want to fight all this stuff that's going to aggro on you and come forward while you're in range of the bunkers. But you can see Queens do quite well. I think we lost one Queen there. And I'll blast that bunker when I get enough energy once again. So this is not the best position, but there isn't too much going on. And you can also stutter step your Queens so that the frontline Queens are not the only ones that actually get to attack. You may notice the minimap is indicating that I have more reinforcements to pick up in that top section, but I think that's just a bug. I definitely got those with me. All right, so here we go. This is the last section of buildings. We got 2 minutes left, so you should have plenty of time there. There's a wave of enemies coming in, but you can just send your Zerglings after them. And then just stream everything in here, and just try to make sure everything that can attack is doing so at the same time. And if you do that, you should be able to clean this up. So, and then once you finish all these buildings, that counts as the achievement. You don't have to kill the actual buildings at the very end because the bridge is closed, so you can't do so. So there you go. That is the guide for premature evacuation. Just, like I said, save often, practice the timings, practice using Kerrigan and the Queens early and often, and eventually you'll get better and better and it'll all come together. So good luck, and thanks for watching.